and welcome back to Bears Talk Today, where we are focusing on the bye week. Bears didn't play last week, but hey, we have a lot of great things to talk about, a lot of great things to go over for this first half of the season. So let's get right into it. Mike, what do you think the best part of the season is so far, at least in your
Well, I thought one of the best parts of the season was watching football yesterday without being stressed watching the Bears. No, I'm just kidding. I think the best part of the season has been the winning record so far. I know that this is maybe the easier part of our schedule. The Bears kind of had a soft opening to the year. But to be 4-2 going into the bye week, double the amount of wins as losses, which felt like, that was never going to happen after we lost 2 in a row to Houston and Indy. You have to take the wins when they come. Yes. You can't take those for granted, especially, and we'll talk about this more later, especially in the division that we're in, especially, with how good those teams look.
Yeah.
I think the best part has to be the fact that the Bears have won 4 of their first 6 games. That is absolutely a positive. I've seen noticeable improvement from many areas on the team, especially the offensive line, the play calling, Caleb Williams. So I think just the fact that we have been a good team so far this year, I think has been my favorite point of the season.
No, I mean that too, right? I think obviously when you are a sort of a rebuilding or kind of a new young team, it takes a lot to get the pieces to gel together and for everything to work perfectly. And for the first couple of weeks, everything has worked pretty much great so far.
Yeah, yes.
And I think that's a pleasant surprise. I mean, obviously the best part for me is Caleb Williams. I mean, without him, I don't even think we'd be, the record that we have right now.
Yeah, he's been awesome.
At 4-2. So, I just think seeing that we can be good is really like a refreshing moment. To be a Bears fan is to kind of see like, hey, we can actually be good.
Yeah.
So
yeah. How about also just quick side tangent? Another great point of the year so far was last night, seeing Justin Fields benched and Russell Wilson came in.
Yeah.
I think it proves the Bears fans even more that they made the right decision.
They did.
And there's no disrespect to Justin Fields, but I don't think Caleb would get benched on Sunday Night Football. And Aaron Rodgers lost.
Aaron Rodgers lost.
And as Bears fans, till the day he stops playing football, we will always love it when Aaron Rodgers loses, especially on prime time. But no, we both mentioned Caleb Williams. I think so far, through 6 weeks of his career, if you had to give Caleb Williams a grade, and hopefully he doesn't get the same GPA that I got when I was in school, but if you had to give Caleb Williams a grade, what would you give him, Justin?
I give him a B+. I think overall he's done phenomenal. I mean, to be able to break the records that he's kind of already started in his first couple of games is phenomenal. I think every single week he improves, he gains confidence, and I think because of that, it pretty much allows the team to be better. Because when you quarterback plays good, your team plays even better. Yeah. I mean, he is black, so
Oh, brother.
Cannot get my words up today, I swear.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I give him a B+. Mike?
yes, I'll also give him a B+. Like you said, started off the year, had a couple rough games, didn't look great against Tennessee, looked severely overwhelmed against the Texans. But ever since that kind of low point of the year, week 2, you've seen that exponential improvement each week.
Yeah.
Now, I can't give him an A because an A would mean that he's been great every single week and that he's kind of good in all aspects. I think a B+ is fair because you're seeing the signs, you're seeing gradual improvement. What he has done so far, he's been able to read the defense, he's been able to distribute the ball. He's, it's felt like, I've said this before, it's felt like everything has kind of slowed down for him. He's processing the game much better. I'd still like to see him hit those deep shots a little bit more frequently because that was the strength of his at USC. We haven't necessarily seen that yet, especially when you got guys like DJ Moore who are going to be open down the field. I think you got to hit some of those deep shots. That will come. I'm not stressed out about that. I think B+ is the correct grade because I'm very happy with what I've seen from Caleb Williams through 6 weeks.
No, and I agree with you, and I think offensively we're doing well. But let's talk about our defense. I mean, how do you feel like they have performed, in these past couple of weeks up to the bye week?
Well, our defense, I think, is Super Bowl caliber. I mean, I truly believe that is a correct statement, right? You look at the defense just from inside out. Defensive line, they've got studs. Montez Sweat has been a game wrecker. Dexter has been a beast out the middle. Even guys like, more rotational guys like Darrell Taylor have made plays. DeMarcus Walker's been good against the run. You look at the linebacking core, Edwards and Edmonds have been great. Sanborn has been making plays. In the defensive backfield, Jalen Johnson's been one of the best corners in the NFL, much like he was last year. Kyler Gord, Tyreek Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker has had a bunch of big games. So I think the key for them is just to get healthy. Not so much. I don't necessarily worry about them as a unit. Just in terms of their health, I just want to see them get healthier, get back out there, playing at 100%. I know they got a little banged up last week going into London. That's why I think the bye week is good. I don't normally like an early bye week because I think, down the stretch you have to play so many games, and especially with the Bears, like we'll talk about later, they have to play so many good teams, so many physical teams down the stretch. But I do think that, bye week, whenever it is, it allows your team to kind of reset itself a little bit, get back on track, get healthy. I think the Bears did need that. They were a little banged up, so I think outside of health, I think this defense has done everything that I've wanted it to. They've held every opponent to under, 21 points? So in the modern NFL, that is a huge deal. If you're holding your team, if you're holding every team to under 3 touchdowns, the offense just needs to show up and do their job. They don't need to be exceptional. So I've been very happy with our defense. And again, I know I've been critical of Eberflus in the past, but he knows defense. He knows how to run a defense. He's got the boys going. He's got them flying around, moving in the right spots. Yeah. And so I have to give him credit. The defense does look really, really good so far.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I think the defense is phenomenal this year. It kind of reminds me of it's kind of a controversial one. Do you feel like the defense is better than the 2018 Bears defense? Because I don't know. I don't know. Like
that defense, I don't know, man. Because here's the thing. It's like you have a lot of the same pieces, right?
Yeah.
Dominant edge, Montez Sweat, Khalil Mack. I think Khalil Mack probably got Montez Sweat beat there.
Yeah.
I think in the defensive backfield, the Bears this year are deeper than they were in 2018.
Yes. Yeah.
But at linebacker, I mean, that 2018 team they had Roquan Smith. They were loaded. So, Keem Hicks also at D-line. So, thinking back to the 2018 team, I mean, part of the reason they go down in infamy is because of the way they played down the stretch.
Yeah.
Remember that game against the Rams? They shut them down. So I think we'll see how this defense plays down the stretch against the really, really good teams. But I see the comparison. You're not totally out of your mind. I do think that there are some apples to apples comparisons to that 2018 team. And listen, that 2018 team had Trubisky. Now we've got Caleb Williams.
Could you imagine if they had Caleb?
If they had Caleb in 2018,
Super Bowl.
Honest to God, we probably would have won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Honest to God.
100%.
Because Trubisky was not really pulling his weight necessarily.
Buns.
Buns. Excellent analysis, Justin.
Yeah, one word, no adjective, buns.
Yeah. But okay, last kind of topic of discussion in terms of recapping the year. What are some of the wild cards you think going forward in the year? Players that will determine how successful, players, I guess, or coaches that will determine how successful the Bears can be down the stretch. These are maybe players that have maybe not like your Caleb Williams or your Montez Sweats. Who are some, I think, though, the wild cards going forward later on in the year?
I think at least for offense, I think of Keenan Allen, right?
Yeah.
We know that DJ Moore will be the wide receiver number 1, and we know that he'll get a lot of looks. I'll throw Roman there too. Let's see what our other receivers can do, right? Because we know that a lot of times we may see double coverage on DJ Moore on a play. And I think definitely, like, what was it? The London game, Keenan Allen had his breakout game.
Yeah,
I think,
2 touchdowns,
I think that was his best game so far in the few games that he's played this season. So overall, I think that he's kind of the wild card in this situation, at least for offense. And for defense, I'm not really going to point out like a star. I'm going to point out our coaching on that, right? Our defensive coordinator. Like we need to see if he can get his guys to maintain that same type of energy, right? Especially when you're going off of a bye week, it gets kind of slow, and we're not facing a trash opponent. Like the Commanders are pretty good.
They've got dudes.
They got dudes, right? So everyone on social media is saying this will be like, this Commanders versus Bears will feed generations, and all that stuff. But I think this will be a first true test to, really since the Texans game to say like, hey, we're up against the elite quarterback and a good offense. Let's see what we can do. So, My wild card is the defense for sure.
Yeah, no, I have a wild card here that I'd like to talk about.
Yeah.
I think it's Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
I think Cole Kmet's a guy who kind
one.
of flies under the radar a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily because he's not a big name. I think most people know who he is.
Yeah.
But like when you're talking about DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore and Caleb Williams, he might get lost in that a little bit. But I think the offense works better when Cole Kmet is involved. When he is a part of the game plan, when he's a part of the passing game, they just seem like the whole offense functions better.
It does.
Let me tell you something. I just pulled up Cole Kmet's game logs this year. First 2 games of the year, he had 31 receiving yards total.
Wow.
First 2 games. Since then, he's had 97, 34, 57, and 70, and he scored 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
So Cole Kmet being a part of this passing game, I think is so big for the Bears. So big for Caleb to have another option.
Yeah.
You know, quarterbacks, they look for their tight ends on those third downs, on gotta-have-it situations. Cole Kmet, I think, is an excellent player. And again, with all the attention that all the other guys get, it allows Cole Kmet to get ideal matchups. He's been winning those matchups, and he's been helping this Bears offense go to different levels. Not to mention, special teams player of the week. We give it up to Cole Kmet, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Long snapper.
Long snapper. Not the best long snaps I've ever seen, but I think he's the only special teams player of the week to score 2 touchdowns. So good for him. But I think on defense, I think a guy that not a lot of Bears fans bring up as one of our premier players, but I think he's going to be important down the stretch. Kevin Byard.
Yeah.
Kevin Byard, he's a veteran safety. You know, he's been around the block. He's been there, done that, right?
Yeah.
I think that Kevin Byard is a guy who is going to help this young Bears secondary grow throughout the year. You know, he's not our best player. He's not the best version of what he was. You know, when he was in Tennessee 4 or 5 years ago, that's when he was at his best. But Kevin Byard, I think his leadership and his veteran mentality are going to help this Bears secondary, this young Bears secondary, to reach their full potential. And then the defense in general, right? I think that he can kind of just rally the troops, get them all together, get them on the right page. I think it's so underrated to have good veteran leadership like that in the locker room. And so I'm really excited to see what this Bears defense can do with Kevin Byard helping to lead the charge. So that is kind of our recap of the year so far.
But,
I think.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I had one more that wasn't on there. So how about, like, obviously in London we saw the touchdown celebrations. Like, is there any, like, favorite, like, touchdown or, like, you know, celebration that the Bears have had so far?
Favorite touchdown. I think my favorite touchdown, and maybe I'm biased, maybe it's because I was there. My favorite touchdown of the year so far was Tyreek Stevenson's pick 6, week 1 against Tennessee. And part of the reason I love it is because dude started like jog walking at the 20-yard line. Like he was kind of he scored. Yeah, he's just kind of, you know, doing a little of that. And maybe it's because he did it like 35 yards in front of me. Maybe it was because it was the first game, and maybe it was because, you know, the defense completely won us that game. Yeah. And that was like the play that won us that game. But I think that was my favorite touchdown of the year. Seeing him just kind of waltz into the end zone like that was pretty sweet.
No, I mean, I agree. That was a pretty sick touchdown, but my touchdown isn't one that's actually celebrated on the field. Alex, roll the clip.
Oh.
yeah, touchdown! Hey. This morning. So this morning when you walked in, I made sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Touchdown Bears. Yeah, that's So I had to. So if to give you guys context, I had a wedding that I did videography for this weekend, and ironically, Mike's girlfriend, his mom was one of the bridesmaids. So I told him during the wedding that if I catch you dancing, it's over. And he's like, "Oh, delete the footage." Why would I delete the footage and we're on the show? If there's more times to embarrass you, I will. You know, so I had to.
Because last week wasn't enough.
Yeah,
right?
nope.
Jeez, dude.
Thank you, Alex. You're so great.
Alex, you're fired, dude. You're fired. I can't believe you would do that to me.